Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are at episode 20 of the PISCOPOD. I am your host, Sasha. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your continued support. I've been getting some great emails, and the troll activity seems to have subsided. So I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. Either way, I'll take it. I hate dealing with trolls, but at least they're listening. So thanks for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button somewhere over here or down below. Hit the like button, and it'll notify you every time a new episode drops. And you'll get to tune in every week on Sundays for my ranting and raving. I'm trying to keep things a little positive, but fuck, it's hard. I'm telling you, man, it's hard. The shit that's going on in the world, man, it just makes you shake your head to the point where I almost need a neck brace. It doesn't subside. So I want to start out this episode. I want to apologize to my friend Mark Milivojevic. I hope I'm saying that name right, Milivojevic, the Serbian axe slinger. Mark wrote me a really nice email last week. He wrote a song called Curtain Drops, and he said, that he's a fan of the show, and, that he tunes in every week and stuff like that. He likes what I'm doing, and he kind of wrote this song and, had me in mind and the stuff I'm covering, and it's a fucking great tune, and try as I might today, I tried to figure out how to get this on the beginning of the podcast, but I'm telling you, man, I'm an old bed shitter, man. This technology throws me for a fucking loop, and I haven't been able to figure it out. So if anybody out there on the interweb that's listening can give me some pointers and talk me down off the ledge and how to get this wicked tune up as my new intro tune, I'd greatly appreciate it. So Mark, I'm sorry you're not hearing this. You're not hearing your tune at the beginning of this, I don't think, unless I can figure it out before I upload it. But I've been pulling my hair out most of the day. I'm kind of a procrastinator, so I probably should have started tackling this probably a week ago, but I didn't. But I promise I will get it up. So shout out to Mark for his wicked talents, and you can go to his YouTube channel, Axe Slinger, and check out some of his other tunes. He wrote a great tune for Remembrance Day, shedding a bit of light on how proud we should be of our veterans and not succumb to these spineless justices that are across Canada banning poppies in their courtroom because it's a political statement. I don't think Canadians give a shit. We look at Don Cherry, who got removed from Hockey Night in Canada because, he was talking about wearing poppies, and he said those people, and of course those people came after his neck, right? Because it's like, oh, you're an Islamophobe and this, that, and the other thing. But, all these years later, he was absolutely correct. The country is going to shit, and there's too many spineless jellyfish out there that are doing fuck all about it, really. It just makes you shake your head. But we'll get into that a little later. I want to start out with a bit of music, not trivia, but music news. A fond farewell to David Coverdale, a longtime vocalist of the rock band Whitesnake. He's not dead, so don't freak out. But he posted a really touching video the other day, basically, calling it quits. After 50 years in the business. And, as a guy that's been in the business for a long time as well, 50 years running at that level, let me tell you, man, hats off to him, man, because like he kicked ass for 50 years. The video was really touching. He ended the video with a Whitesnake song, and fucking, I'm having a brain fart here as to what it was. Fond farewell, bid you adieu. I don't know, something like that. But it was a very touching video that he posted, and it kind of, it was like about 5 minutes of videos and snapshots, of him going down memory lane. And, I watched it a couple of times, and wow, it just brought back so many memories. It's, you lose artists like Ozzy, and sadly Ozzy passed away and stuff. David Coverdale has not passed yet, but, it drives the point home that that we're all getting older. All my heroes are, retiring and passing away. I spent the day, or a good portion of the day, early this morning in the studio, in my drum room actually, and beating the crap out of my drums. A lot of it was Whitesnake tunes and stuff like that, kind of a trip down memory lane. And, you kind of forget how the music just, hones in all these memories. I was listening to some, B-sides of some of the Whitesnake albums with Cozy Powell as the drummer, and, like as soon as I heard the first couple of chords of certain songs, man, it brought me right back to a time back in the days when the world was, maybe we were young and naive, but the world sure seemed a lot better, a lot happier, and full of more promise that, it seems to be lacking nowadays. I follow world news quite a bit. I'm an immigrant to Canada, if you will. And, I have friends and family that still live in Germany. We're talking regularly, and they're telling me, the carnage that's happening down there. I seen on, I can't remember what news channel it was on, but, Germany notoriously has these huge, vibrant, beautiful Christmas markets, indoor, outdoor Christmas markets, that's like all festive with the lights up and stuff like that. Well, this year, thanks to uncontrolled immigration, the police are putting up, I call them diversity barriers, because they've already shown hundreds, if not thousands, of Islamists, walking through their Christmas market, chanting their fucking goat fucker garbage, and, and basically causing chaos. And I seen Spain, Italy, lots of people, man, they're standing up, and they're taking matters into their own hands. Now, I never condone violence, but, the saying that violence is never the answer, I'm pretty sure that saying was coined by people that have been up to no good and know that the mob is coming for them, and they don't want to get their asses handed to them. So now all of a sudden violence is not the answer. But you know what? I'm starting to think that sometimes maybe violence is the answer. Our politicians, I harp lots about, the United States. I got lots of friends and family down in the United States. And I have, in Virginia or West Virginia, in New York, and Florida, California, all over the continental United States. I got, friends and family all across Canada. So, I harp lots about Canada because I live here. I harp lots about the United States because, I've always thought of the United States as, the beacon of, the beacon of goodness, if you will, where you can go into the land of milk and honey and become whatever you want. And I'm starting to get a little disillusioned by everything that's going on in the world. Because the stuff that you're seeing, you're really only seeing it in Western Christian countries. Churches burning. Um, Muslims in the streets blocking traffic, praying. And again, I said this last episode, it's not that I give a shit that these people are praying. It's that I give a shit that they're praying in the streets because the only reason that they're doing that is a show of power. That they are, what all their imams are espousing is that they're going to take over. And by all metrics, it looks like in many of the Western countries, they really are. I think Poland, this super racist country, because they have refused immigration from Middle Eastern countries. But, you watch videos of Poland and you see, young ladies in the streets that aren't getting harassed. There's always going to be crime. There's always going to be the haves and the have-nots, and there's always going to be crime. But nobody can tell me that that this Islamist takeover that's going on in all these countries like the UK, my God, all you have to do is just Google it, what's going on in Spain or in England. It's crazy. It's crazy. And then, you got the Prime Minister of England, Starmer. He's doubling and tripling down. He's like, if you're a native Brit and you're against immigration, you're the enemy, and da-da-da, and we're going to fight you with everything that we have. And, to my native British friends, I say call him up on his offer, man. The time for reaching across the aisle, and I've said this before, the time of reaching across the aisle and trying to negotiate is done and over with. So, what choice do you have at this point? You're either going to sit back and let these parasites take over your country, take over my country, take over the United States, anywhere that they've have allowed mass immigration, it's nothing but problems. Don't take my word for it. Look it up. It's scary, is really what it is. And these people, they don't want to assimilate. They want to take over. Every one of their leaders has said the same thing, that, this caliphate or whatever the fuck they call it, they're going to take over. And that's what they want. They want the entire world to be an Islamic country under the laws of Islam, Sharia law, whatever the case is. And, I'm talking to you folks out there, all you listeners out there. Are you going to stand by and let this shit happen? Are you going to wait for your government, my government, Skid Mark Carney and his cabal of deviants? Are we going to sit around and let this happen? Are we going to let it get to the point where, we're like the UK, stabbings in the street, stabbings on the trains, just craziness, violent craziness, all in the name of their pedophile god. I, for one, I'm not going to take it, man. And, the laws on the books be damned. I don't give a shit anymore. I am not going to fall under this hostile takeover, for lack of a better word. You know, we got, I was mentioning Skidmark Carney. His budget has come out. It's horrendous. It's sinking us Canadians even further into poverty. He doesn't have money for, he doesn't have money for programs for Canadian citizens, old age pension, stuff like that. But hey, he can, he can send money for the rebuild of Gaza, for the Palestinians. He can send tens of millions of dollars for the fight of Ukraine. He's basically he's basically a world order puppet, and he's slowly dismantling our country, meaning me here in Canada and my brethren up here, one little law at a time. And there's so many blue-haired woke douche nozzles that are like, oh, he's going to promise us free stuff, just like Mom Donnie in New York City, who's already walked all that free stuff back, much to the dismay of some of his voters. But you still got the people that are like, oh, Mark Carney, he's the guy that's, he's the guy that's going to, he's the guy that's going to save Canada. And it's just ridiculous. And, and those people, I'm sorry, I don't want nothing to do with you, and I consider you the enemy of Canada as well. I'm at the point where I'm like, fuck Canada. My concentration is now on Alberta, and I want to get the fuck out of Canada, meaning like my province of Alberta. I would love to separate. Now, do I want to be the 51st state of the United States? I'm kind of on the fence with that. Because let's be honest with you, the United States right now under Trump is certainly, looks more promising than what's before us here in Canada. But let's be real. That place has all sorts of problems of its own as well. I'm saddened that Danielle Smith, our premier of Alberta, is flip-flopping like a fish on a sunny boat deck. I think she's like moved the goalpost now for the fourth time. Grey Cup Sunday, which is today. It's like NFL Sunday for down in the States. We are currently playing the 112th Grey Cup between the Saskatchewan Roughriders and the Montreal Alouettes. Last time I checked the score, I'm not a big sports guy to begin with, but last time I checked the score, I think the Alouettes were ahead by 6 points or something like that. Anyway, she basically gave Carney until Grey Cup Sunday to come up with a plan and a deal with the pipelines, and of course, he just laughs at her and mocks her on every time he's asked about Alberta and pipelines and stuff like that. So in a show of what I consider just spineless weakness, she's now given him until the end of the month, and I'm sorry, Danielle Smith. I voted for you. I've supported you when you went down to Mar-a-Lago to talk to Trump and to talk to senators there selling Alberta. I thought that you were brave, even with all the shit and blowback you were getting from the blue hairs and the woke losers that are here in Alberta. Fat Nenshi, that sodomite, and his, cabal of deviants. I supported you. I thought you had cojones, and, I would have followed you to the ends of the earth. But, I'm starting to waffle, man, on my support, if I'm being honest with you. You don't just keep moving the fucking goalpost. You set a line in the sand, and when that line in the sand is crossed, you fucking come out swinging. That's how it's done. I hate to say it because I think division within the UCP supporters is very risky. right? Because if we're not united, if we're divided within the party and its supporters, that just that just opens the door for that oily cocksmoker Nenshi to come in and lay havoc to the province. So, I'm hesitant, but I'm starting to think that maybe Premier Smith, isn't the leader that we hoped she would be, or certainly not the leader that Albertans need right now. And I'm saddened to say that because I thought for sure that she'd be like, you know what, Carney, here's the deadline I gave you. You didn't meet the deadline. Here's what we're gonna do. She did all sorts of walking shit back, like some big ministers meeting that she was having. That she said that they weren't gonna concentrate on Alberta separation during that meeting, and me and a lot of my friends and a lot of my supporters and followers, we're of the opinion that I think Alberta separation is the only way that we're going to survive any of this, to be honest with you. Now, I got friends that are like, it'll never happen. And, she just answers to, her boss and da-da-da-da-da. And, I can't really discount that angle either because, when you look around and see what she's doing, it seems to me that, the old saying, just a different wing of the same bird. It seems that way. Like I was saying earlier on this, Carney's budget is just horrendous. And our interim finance officer, Jason Jacques, I believe is his name, he came out with a dire warning. It's never a good thing when your finance minister or your interim finance officer is he didn't even sugarcoat it. He basically said that he's reviewed the budget and it has less than a 10% chance of staying within the budgetary parameters. So even as horrendous as it is, this guy is saying that it has less than 10% chance of it staying within the budget guidelines or the parameters. So it'll be even worse than how shitty it already looks. So you would think, because he's like an independent expert, you would think that somebody in the Liberal Party might heed that warning and go, hey, maybe we should cross a few T's and dot a few I's. But nope, that's not how things happen in Canada under Liberal leadership. What they decided to do is they decided to replace our interim finance officer with someone that has more tact and discretion. So that in layman's terms is we don't like what he says, so we're going to fucking replace him with someone that's going to parrot our, that everything is good and fucking elbows up, everybody. So you elbows up crowd, are you getting sick of winning yet? Are you feeling like you're winning? When you go to the grocery store and it's $160 for a bag of groceries with nothing in it? Are you sick of getting, are you sick of winning? Because I'm sure getting sick of it. We got Carney, full on pushing out digital ID. He's going to roll out the ID to the welfare recipients and old age pensioners. He's a conniving snake, that son of a bitch. Because what better way to, get a foothold on this digital ID, right? Go after the people that, that want free money and don't want to work, or, need the government handout in order to survive. So what do you think they're going to do? You think they're going to reject the digital ID? Because I sure as hell don't. They're going to go full on in. And then again, old age pensioners, right? These folks, under 10 years 10 plus years of Liberal government, they've watched their savings and RRSPs and shit like that just take a massive hit. So they need the money, as little as it is to begin with, but they need the money in order to survive, in order to, keep their homes, which is increasingly hard to do because everything is taxed more. So, so he's rolling out this digital ID. He's coming after, the gun buyback program. That's how they market it. It's a buyback program. No, it's a control mechanism. Digital ID is a control mechanism. Electric cars is a control mechanism. All of this shit is for the great replacement, the 2030 agenda, man. Where they're saying you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. It's getting to that point. And it's scary. All my life I've been taught, you work hard and, you buy yourself a house and, you keep your head down and your nose to the grindstone and, your house will one day be paid off and, you're, I don't want to say living large, but, you know what I mean? But like that was always the goal of, home ownership, pay off your house. Imagine being mortgage free. That's the advertisements, get a mortgage through the CIBC and pay your mortgage off sooner. And, imagine what it's like to be mortgage free, and I bought into that. I was pretty young when I owned my first home, fixed it up, sold it for a bigger home, fixed it up, sold it for a bigger home. All in the pursuit of being mortgage free. And now that you're mortgage free, your fucking taxes are like a mortgage payment. So it doesn't matter that you're mortgage free because, you're still paying. I think my last, now granted, I have a studio and a hot tub, for the trolls out there in the foothills of the Rockies. And, I have my trust fund studio. So that, sucks a bit of juice when I got her all fired up and, cranking out the rock and roll and stuff like that. But, I'm getting like $600, NMAX payments, right? My first mortgage payment on my first condo that I bought when I was like, I think I was 19 or 20 or something like that. My first condo, I think the mortgage payment was only $550 a month, and that included like insurance and tax. You know what I mean? And now I'm paying that to basically like heat my home, right? Now you add the property tax on top of always escalating. It's a mortgage payment. It's a mortgage payment. It's well over $1,000 just on those two things, right? And then you have vehicle insurance that's constantly going up. Gas prices are constantly going up. Grocery prices are constantly going up. So, where does it stop? Is my question. Where does it stop? And how much longer are we going to bend over and grab our ankles for these people? As far as I'm concerned, the Liberal government is an illegitimate government. Carney wasn't voted in by Canadians. That communist coward Trudeau, he resigned because he knew that if he had to face Pierre Poilievre in a federal election, he would get his ass handed to him. And now, meanwhile, this guy skates off into the sunset with Space Cadet Katy Perry and, living off all the money that he fleeced off of Canadians with scandal after scandal after scandal. 7.1 billion, that's billion with a B, $7.1 billion the Liberal government has spent since 2016 on childcare for non-Canadians. Now, you know, I know naturalized Canadians, Canadian citizens, who have to work two jobs. Mom and dad have to go out and work in order to pay for anything. And like I've heard horror stories, where like one kid in daycare or childcare, preschool childcare shit is like $700-800 a month. So if you got a couple of kids that need to go to the daycare because mom and dad have to work, that can cost you like $1,300-1,400 a month. And it's not hard to understand why some of the ladies or whatever, they just won't go out and work because like they would, if they're lucky, they'll get enough hours just to basically pay for childcare, so why work? These parasites, they're just shipping them in by the boatload and they don't want to work. They come to the land of milk and honey for the free handouts. But, I digress. It's not just in Canada. It's happening in all the Western countries. Australia, same thing. Rampant immigration, skyrocketing crime, danger to naturalized citizens out in the street. Getting harassed by these parasite Islamists. Germany, like I said, they're putting the diversity barriers up for the Christmas market because they're expecting trouble. So we got that going on. The only beacon of hope seemed to have been the United States with Trump coming in and kind of kicking ass and cleaning house. But, folks, there's trouble in paradise down there, too. Again, that saying, different, just different wings of the same bird. And that's starting to rear its ugly head down in the United States, too. Donald Trump came out the other day and he's pulled his endorsement for Marjorie Taylor Greene. Now, if you know Marjorie Taylor Greene, she, granted, she is kind of a wackadoo. But she was always, even as crazy as some of the shit that she espoused, she was always America first. And now that her and a couple of other Republicans, prominent Republicans, are kind of giving Donald Trump blowback because he's clearly not America first. I mean, I don't care what you say. That guy is bought and paid for by the Jews. And by the Jews, I don't mean all the Jews. I mean the Israeli government, Netanyahu and his genocidal war criminals. Clearly bought and paid for by the Zionists that basically run American politics. You got your warmongering Lindsey Grahams, you got your Feinsteins, and, you got your Ted Cruz's, who had that horrendous Tucker Carlson interview about, the reason that I got into politics, my sole reason was to be a supporter and a proponent of Israel. And it's like, these people aren't even scared to fucking say this in public anymore. Like, once upon a time, if you were, an American politician and you had undying allegiances to a foreign country, you wouldn't be a politician for very long. But these people, they don't care, man. They're like out in the open. MAGA has turned into MEGA, make Israel great again. And the America First supporters and Republicans and stuff like that are given some pushback, they're getting a lot of flack, man, and it's dividing the party, and that's not a good thing. right? Because if it's division within the ranks, that just opens the door for, the other side to take seats and win elections, which they have been. So that's scary. What else can I tell you? When I'm talking about trouble in paradise south of the border, the Epstein list. Lots of stuff has come out lately. Now, is all of it true? I don't know. But, I think that MAGA was done the day that Donald Trump was in that press conference and said, are you guys still talking about the Epstein list? Quit talking about that. It's over. It was a Democrat hoax. And it clearly wasn't. He's clearly covering up for all his donors and all his brethren within the party. There's no doubt in anybody's mind that there was a list. Like, how do you arrest a guy for trafficking and there's no one that they can prove that he trafficked underage women to? Like, how does that work? Right? The whole Epstein, he killed himself in jail. Bullshit. Everybody knows it's bullshit. The thing with Diddy, what did he get? 4 years for the shit that he's been doing? And all reports indicate that he's part of the system, that he got busted a long time ago, and he basically also has a gay honeypot scam going, right? Where he gets celebrities and, prominent movie stars and stuff like that, and compromising Diddy freak-offs all covered in oil. And what better way to control? What better way to control these people other than, hey, man, I'd hate for your family to see these videos, And that's part and parcel of, the Israeli lobby. It's part and parcel of the Mossad and how they operate. They're still poo-pooing, Jeffrey Epstein, he wasn't part of the Mossad. Maybe he wasn't like a Mossad member, but he was clearly working for them. With the thousands of hours of tapes that they seized from his house that have mysteriously never come to light. The flight logs of the Lolita Express that, for 2 years to get Trump elected, we're gonna expose it all, and we're gonna name names and show pictures, and once he's elected, it's like, what flight logs? Sorry, that was a Chick-fil-A napkin that I wrote a Katy Perry song on. I don't know what you're talking about. It's fucking frightening, to be perfectly honest with you. It's fucking frightening. And you can tell that this is, for lack of better word, a psyop operation, because anybody, and I mean anybody, that asks the mildest questions, well, the machine just assembles and goes after these people full tilt. Tucker Carlson, once a sweetheart of the Republican Party, right-wing sweetheart of the Republican Party. He's just asking questions, is a little bit critical of Israel, and all of a sudden he's persona non grata. They are coming after him full force. My Facebook feed is just full on smear campaigns. Tucker Carlson, he should be canceled, or he's persona non grata. This is how it operates, folks. Candace Owens, same thing. Whether you believe what she's doing, with the Charlie Kirk thing or not, there's plausible questions that she's raising. Plausible questions. What's his name? McCoy. Can't remember his name now. Rob McCoy, right? Who was Charlie's pastor. the shit that's come out on him for the past week. He's like one of the big heads of, I believe it's called the Calvary Ministries. And you don't even have to do a deep dive into this ministry. On Candace Owens on Friday, she listed, and she said in no way is this like a comprehensive list. It's just a cursory list, but she named like 15 or 20 Calvary ministry chapels across the United States that are headed by convicted pedophiles. Money laundering, pedophilia, rampant in this ministry. Rampant in this ministry. And, you know, you have to ask the question that, you know, if like the Turning Point Faith chapter, which Rob McCoy was, was the head of, the new head of, Charlie Kirk's pastor and TP Faith, it begs the question that if he's in, if he's a sexual predator and into money laundering, and I mean, check out these episodes because I don't have enough time to go into all of this shit, but there's some, CIA, FBI ties that are undeniable in all the cases, pedophilia in all the cases, money laundering in all the cases. It begs the question, what the fuck is going on, man? I watched an interview, Sean Ryan on Tucker Carlson, and wow, like it was eye-opening. It was eye-opening, and it makes me think, I think that we've been lied to our entire fucking lives. I think that Hollywood and, the music business, maybe wasn't designed, but it certainly was infiltrated by dark forces, to say the least. I mean, look at the scandalous entertainment industry, the movie industry in Hollywood, notoriously rampant with pedophiles and Harvey Weinstein stuff and Corey Haim and Charlie Sheen, drugs and homosexuality and rapes, and it's just crazy. It's just crazy. And it all ties together. It all ties together. Like I said, go check out Candace Owens' Friday episode, and the Britney Spears thing. And I can't remember her handler's name now. My wife is gonna kill me. But this lady whose husband is a big wig in the Calvary Ministries in the United States, she's like an ex. He has a military background. She has some sort of military background. She has no management, like entertainment management skills, but, all of a sudden she became Britney's handler, and Britney was like too sick to handle her own money, but was well enough to do another couple of tours to make $130 million, which Britney Spears' father happily sent tithes to the Calvary Church, right? Money that wasn't his. It's crazy what's happening. And like, I'm at the point where you literally have to question everything. Shady dealings, psyops, pedophilia. Everybody knows that it wasn't Lee Harvey Oswald that took out JFK. The Jewish lobby, they always miraculously also turn up in these sorts of things. Now, do I think that every Jew is involved in this? Absolutely not. But I think I Googled it. I think there's only 18 million Jews in the world. And when you think of a global population of 7 billion, that's not very many. Israel is basically the size of New Jersey, and we send the United States, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars every year because they're our best ally in the Middle East. Well, it's funny that 109 countries on the planet want nothing to do with this group of people, but they're the United States' greatest ally. And also, when you look into it, they're also the United States' biggest funder, right? As far as politics, you got politicians like Feinstein. He literally said that he didn't wash his hand after he shook Bibi Netanyahu's hand. Like, that's basically saying, that's like meeting Hitler and going, oh my God, I'm never going to wash my hands. I shook that guy's hand. Because, don't kid yourself, that guy is not much better. Not much better. Starving women and children, blowing them up, holding back aid, basically just expanding his borders and using the American teat in order to fund his wars of expansion, because that's exactly what's going on. Does anybody really think that Iran is an existential threat to the United States? No. They're an existential threat to Israel. And, of course, he's got weapons of mass destruction. When did we hear that before? Maybe in Iraq, 20-year war in Afghanistan cost American taxpayers trillions and trillions of dollars. Did it bring peace to the Middle East? Nope. Did it make Americans' lives better? Nope. Did it kill tens of thousands of American soldiers? Yep. Did it kill tens of thousands of IDF soldiers? Nope. What the fuck is going on, folks? So this chasm in the Republican Party south of the border, I wouldn't stake a king's ransom on it, because stranger things have happened. But I think the MAGA movement is done. I really do. Because, even the staunchest Trump supporters, they can see, which way the wind is blowing. Like, Trump isn't, America first. He's not America first. What's he doing that's America first? Do you know what I mean? He's bombing Iran on behalf of Israel. Netanyahu's already beaten the drums of war to basically regime change in Iran, right? Regime change has never happened. Or has never worked. It's happened lots, but it's never worked. I mentioned on the last week's episode, that Trump wants to go to war with Venezuela, right? Because he's a dictator. It has nothing to do with the fact that Venezuela has more oil reserves than Saudi Arabia or nothing like that, right? We're all just pawns. We're all just pawns in this fucking political game. And these elites, because let's be honest with you, Trump doesn't, he doesn't control or run the most powerful country on the planet. He has handlers. And if you don't believe that, man, I feel really bad for you, man, because it's so obvious. Where's the Epstein list? Why aren't they releasing the files that they promised that they would release? As soon as I'm in office, the next day I'm going to release all the files. And it's been over a year? Nothing. Crickets, man. Crickets. So he can't release the files because he's either in them, which is I don't know for sure. I don't know, but he's either in them, or everybody that's around him, or all the powerful people that are around him, are are implicated in this. You know, they're implicated in this because what other explanation is there, man? What other explanation? If your entire run for office is to drain the swamp, and then as soon as you're in the swamp, you're not draining it, you're becoming the fucking creature of the Black Lagoon. It makes you fucking scratch your head. It's making his voters scratch their head. And that's why Western societies have this big push on censorship, right? They want to control the internet. They want to control TikTok. Larry Ellison, he bought TikTok, right? Remember when Trump was like, we can't let China own TikTok. No, he was right. China shouldn't own TikTok, but he didn't give a shit that China owned TikTok. He wanted to make sure that his Jewish donors could control TikTok because that's, I can't remember the demographic, but young Americans, young citizens of the world. Let's not just lump it into Americans. Young citizens of the world, 18 to whatever, they're getting a lot of their info or they're watching a lot of TikTok videos. So it's a great tool for propaganda. Oh yeah, those bad Palestinians. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a supporter of Hamas, as you heard in my my anti-Islamist rant at the beginning of at the top of this show. I'm not a fan of theirs. As far as I'm concerned, those Hamas terrorists, they should all be wiped off the face of the earth. And I, for one, as a citizen of Canada or as a citizen of the world, hey man, sign me up, man. I will be more than happy to help you out wherever I can here on home turf. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. But, he didn't want China to have TikTok. He wanted his Israeli donors, his Jewish donors, Miriam Adelson, the AIPAC lobby. All you have to do, there's a website, AIPAC, I think it's called AIPAC Tracker. To date, Donald J. Trump, Mr. America First, make America great again, fight, fight, fight. He's received almost $250 million of Jewish lobby money. And don't be a simp to say, well, yeah, they're just lending cash or they're just donating cash because they support Trump. Nobody gives that kind of money without something in return. Okay? And if you think any different, man, fucking wake up. So yeah, that's where we're at, kids. They're going after Tucker. They're going after Candace. Nick Fuentes. Love him or hate him, they're going after him too. And he's a young guy, and he's been handed the shit end of the stick on numerous occasions by, guess who? Ben Shapiro and the Jewish lobby, right? Has he said anti-Semitic things? Certainly. There's no doubt about it. Have they been true, though? Yes. For most part, maybe he needs to work on his delivery so that he doesn't get banned off of YouTube and all the other platforms. But I mean, the dark forces, they are working feverishly, not only in the background, but in the foreground as well. There was a young lady that had Nick Fuentes on her podcast, and they fucking fired her. Like, she didn't say anything anti-Semitic. She just, it's like what I said at the beginning of starting this podcast. We got to have dialogue, right? You got to be able to talk to one another, in order to flesh out, some of the pros and cons of certain stances and long-held opinions, if you will. If you can't talk to one another, our goose is cooked as far as I'm concerned. But so this young lady had Nick Fuentes on her podcast, and she got fired, deplatformed. She probably won't ever get a gig in Hollywood or anything like that because it's all run by the Jewish lobbies. Tucker Carlson had Fuentes on his podcast, and I mean, you could set your watch after it. Like literally the next day after his podcast, was published, well, the fucking machine came after him full tilt, and he's still getting it. They're trying to deplatform him and basically cancel it because, like, how can you let this anti-Semite, how can you platform him? And it's like, well, I've platformed a lot of questionable people. Like, I mean, remember Tucker Carlson? He interviewed Vladimir Putin, and he interviewed the president, was it the president of Iran, I think? Anyway, he's had some controversial people on there, but that's what I want. That's what I want. I want to be able to, I don't want to sit down with these people myself because obviously, right? Like, I'm a podcaster that has, maybe 50, 60 views per podcast. So I'm not going to get access to people like that. I don't think. I would hope I could, but, I'm a realist. I don't think that I'm going to sit down with the president of Iran anytime soon here at Sin City Sound Studio, my trust fund studio, for Truth Y2S, in case you're fucking listening, douchebag. Anyway, right, I'm not going to get access to people like that. So, that's what I want from the people that I go to, for information. I want a fair, both-sided conversation as to, I want to know what this dude is thinking. I want to know what Vladimir Putin is thinking, right? Because they're our fucking sworn enemies, right? So why wouldn't we want to know, I watched the Putin interview, and sure, he's a bloodthirsty monster, but, he came across as, he was a pretty level-headed guy, right? He's the president of his country, and he wants to take care of his citizens. I find no fault at that. Now, in Western society, if if you're a Mark Carney liberal, well, then you're a fucking Islamophobe, or you're anti-immigration, or you're a homophobe. If you don't want men in girls' bathrooms, you're a homophobe. I'm not a homophobe. Phobia means like an unsubstantiated fear. I'm not scared of these people. I think that these people, if you want to, if you want to rummage through your mother's closet and throw on her sundresses and parade around the square, knock yourself out. But I draw the line at, I'm not going to subscribe to your fucking delusions. I take umbrage in the fact that here in Canada, my government legislates speech that if I don't use their, a preferred pronoun, words are violence, and it's just fucking nonsense. But here we are, Sunday, November the 15th, 2025 in Bizarro World. I don't know what else to tell you guys. Hit me up, beastbellymedia@gmail.com. Send me send me your thoughts. Hit me up in the comments. Hit me up on the socials. Let me know what you think. I don't know what else to tell you. Man, it's a scary world out there right now. And it seems that, our hands are tied. Or that's what they'd like us to think, that our hands are tied. But, they're under the guise that we're just going to lay back and let this shit unfold how they see it unfolding, and that we're not going to revolt. But, you smell that? I smell revolution in the air. I really, really do. So I'll leave it at that for this week. I'm approaching the hour mark, so I don't want to rant any longer, even though I could. Guys and gals, thanks for tuning in to the PISCOPOD, episode 20. Fuck, I can't believe we're already at episode 20, man. When I started this thing, episode 1, I thought, I don't even think I can do this. I still don't think I can do this, to be honest with you. But I do have, followers. I am getting kind emails, that are like, man, thanks for saying that. And, I really like your podcast and the stuff you're covering. And guys and gals, you don't know how much I appreciate that support. It's really cool, and it's humbling. And, to be honest with you, it makes me feel a little better, because I know that, the shit that's rattling around up here, that I'm not the only one that's thinking this. So, there's a glimmer of hope. I know that I got followers and friends that I talk to regularly that are like, they're on board, they're on board with some of the shit that I'm saying, and they see, and are concerned about what's coming down the pike. And I think a lot of them are ready to do something. And what that is, time will tell how far it has to go. But it has to go somewhere, man. It has to go somewhere. They are, the attack on Christianity is crazy. The burning of the churches is crazy. And I think that there's a big return on Christianity. Anybody that's seen my socials, like even 2 years ago, I'm not a religious person. I never was, but there are people that have sent me messages that that say that they say regular prayers for me and stuff like that, and that's just touching. And I'll say this I've never met this man. I'll call him Jerry. So Jerry, if you're listening, you have no idea how profound a difference you've made in my life. I'm leaning closer to Jesus. I'm not a big reader, so I actually, I've tried to read the Bible, but, well, let's just say it, I'm not a big reader, but I have Bible verses that get sent to my phone on a daily basis. I now start my day with the Lord's Prayer. I'm 57 years old, man, and I've never done that. So something is afoot, so I'm starting the day off. I say I say 2 prayers to start my day, and that's the Lord's Prayer and the prayer of Saint Michael, the protect me from evil. Because, folks, we are in a spiritual battle, man, for our freedoms, for our culture, for our very lives, in my opinion. And like I said, Jerry, you've made a profound difference in my life. I thank you for your prayers. I thank you for your guidance. I know that I need a lot of work still, but I'm getting a little closer to, I think, where I need to be, both mentally and spiritually. And, you've played a big part in that. So thank you. Anyway, folks, the hour is up. I'm actually overshooting it. Thank you for your support. Hit the subscribe button below. Keep your eyes open. Ask questions. And don't take this shit laying down anymore, man. I urge you. We need to stand up and we need to fight. We need to fight. Evil is afoot, and, it's time to sharpen your sword and, get ready for battle. Anyway, folks, have yourselves a happy Sunday. Grey Cup, like I said, here in Canada. So I'm going to go upstairs and see who's winning and who's losing. The meatballs are waiting for me. We've had a beautiful weekend here. And I'm going to get out there and enjoy the rest of it. Anyway, folks, again, thanks for all your support, man. I care for you so much. I appreciate all the listeners. You guys taking, an hour out of your time just to listen to my verbal diarrhea at sometimes. Most of the time, probably. I do appreciate your guys' support. Mark, thanks for the fucking killer tune. I hope to get it up on this episode, but I have my doubts. If anybody out there can talk me through on how to get this up, I would greatly appreciate it. Again, send me, give me your thoughts and, let me know what you're thinking. beastbellymedia@gmail.com. Or you can follow me on my Facebook page or on the gram. Again, folks, thanks for your support. Happy Sunday. Have yourselves a wonderful week. Stay out of trouble. And, love one another. We will talk to you next Sunday. Same time, same place. See ya!